Alright folks, how are you doing? It's Shabash. Welcome back to the channel. It's Orna again, and today we are doing a kind of montage of war fights, specifically as a tier 9 character going up against tier 10 characters. So hopefully this can give you lower tier players an idea of how to take down those higher tier players, especially the tier 10 ones where they have a lot of extra power above us. So I will be playing all of this as Nyx Swashbuckler. However, I will try and mention other kind of tactics I would consider as other classes. In the future, I'll try and unlock those other classes at tier 9 and do those fights as well. But let's get started. Let's fire in. We've got 10 fights lined up here. Alright, so these first two fights are pre-recorded from months ago. Actually, they are not live commentary, so I'm just going to kind of read over the general strategies I'm going to use for most of these fights. And the first one is to try and get your character, your opponent with Chimera. Try and catch them with Chimera out, because that will give them a berserk buff which deals 10% dot or 5% dot on them. Anyway, it does a lot of health on them, and that's a really good way to help do damage. Gilgameshes can be an absolute nightmare for lower tier characters, especially once they get into a Divine Bastion skill loop. They get that 100% ward absorption, they keep regaining ward. So one strategy I like to use is actually to hit them really straight out of the gate for any kind of damage I can do before they manage to get 100% ward absorption up, or indeed ward of Orna with 85%. Gilgameshes start the fight with 50% ward absorption, so I use Bear's Might here off the bat to try and increase my attack. Then I'm going to use Claw Cut, I believe, try and do more damage. This was a few months ago. If I was playing this today, I would have just gone in straight away with Swordplay 2. Probably do as much damage as I can. You know, other characters, Omnimancer with the god classes, try and get as much damage in like the first couple of rounds before they start buffing with Golden Fortitude, Ward of Orna, and go into a Divine Bastion loop. Once they go into a Divine Bastion loop, it's going to be really difficult to take them down. You're probably not even going to be able to damage their health directly. So at that point, that's when the dots come into play. That's when Greater Yokai needs to earn his wage and get those dots on Gilgameshes. The thing with Gilgameshes is they have Steadfast 2, so that is one issue. It's going to be difficult for certain things to land and you know, stay on. Heretics, Realmshifters, Beowulf, you should be able to land those status evictions fairly easily. Deities, Gilgameshes are more of a problem. So in this scenario, I'm half health, he's also half health, so we've done a decent amount of damage to him. And looking back, I think what I would have tried to do here is blinded him, or try other statuses like sleep. I think he's frozen there at the moment, so he's susceptible to, if he's susceptible to freeze, he's more than likely going to be susceptible to paralyze, burn, and rot as well. So, and you know, burn and rot have just been buffed as well. Those dots now do a little bit more damage. And the berserk buff finally goes up from the Chimera, but it's a little bit too late. We've already done a lot of damage to him. And yeah, really at this point we want to be using Flash to keep them blinded. Flash is much better than Smoke Bomb. By the way, you need to buy Flash from an Arcanist. That's a really great spell. But you see, he's not actually buffed at all here. So we go in with a Swordplay 2, and he actually used a Sortie. So maybe this was actually a Gilga Swash or some other kind of build that isn't Cataphract Endless Divine Bastion, but we didn't get the win in the end. But yeah, looking back, I would have used Flash more. Maybe could have just slept a bit more. So let's go on to the next one. Alright, this is the second and final pre-recording. We're going up against Beowulf, Ashen Phoenix. Ashen Phoenix, this is probably going to be one of the worst matchups for lower level players going up against the Beowulf and Ashen Phoenix. Ashen Phoenix can be seriously damaging. So really, I try and damage first turn, and then after that I try and use Flash. Blind does affect enemy pets, so really Flash is going to be really important going up against Beowulf especially. Beowulfs have also just been buffed. They have a lot more health than they used to, so now they're really going to be some kind of problem for a lot of players, especially going up against something with this much ward. He managed to get all his buffs up, and perhaps I could have tried to do a little bit more damage against him rather than trying to keep him status. But really, Beowulfs are going to be a little bit more of a problem than they used to be. Yeah, checking out the gear, I've gone with typically using Fey Dragon gear. Dragoon Charms are great as well, trying to get Greater Yokai to act more often. Alright, so we've got a Gilgamesh, and we can see he's got Fey Chimera out. That's exactly what we want. We want to use that Berserk dot against him as much as possible. I do have Greater Yokai equipped, don't have that Pumpkinhead pet. Checking our gear, you can see I've got 2 pieces of Fey Dragon, 3 pieces of Fey Dragon armor, and that's really going to improve our pet action rate. You can also use Dragoon Charms as well to try and get Greater Yokai to get up off his arse. And I'm also going to put in a mirror, or maybe a Manman's sword actually could be a good shot. Okay, we're going to put in the mirror. Just give us more mana. We don't lose too much attack from our offhand. So the goal here, yeah, try and dot him down as much as possible. If we can do damage to him, then we can do that. We have got the Hex of Light from the Kingdom Hex, which is going to be useful as well. And so basically at the start of the fight is when Gilgameshes particularly are going to be at their weakest, so we can try and do as much damage as we can to them. And immediately we've got Berserk up on him, but you can see he's going into Divine Bastion. So once he uses Divine Bastion, there's going to be very little chance of us actually doing any damage to him. So I'm just trying to do as much damage to him as possible at the moment. Omnistrike might be able to tell us if he's not wearing a Ring of Day or something. But when Fey Chimera does damage, then it's not very helpful. We're going to try and use Mystic Feather as much as possible. But you can see the dots we've got on him. 3 dots, and he's frozen as well. So from this point on, we're going to try and keep them blinded as well. Blind is very useful, especially against their pets. So there we go. We use Flash, and now he's blinded. So yeah, of course this character is Swash, so I'm very low on defense. So Fey Chimera is probably our biggest threat, rather than the normal Chimera. So we're going to focus on keeping him blinded, while our Greater Yokai will hopefully keep them incapacitated. Right, so now he's used Divine Bastion, now he's got 100% ward absorption. So really from this point on, it's going to be very difficult for us to kill him straight using damaging attacks. So I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to keep him incapacitated, keep him blinded as much as I can. Blind is really a really big one. Miasma is a really good spell if you have that. Applying Blight and Poison. I've not got it on this character right now. And using... Okay, so we can keep them going, keep going down. I don't have any other kind of dots on me at the moment. No longer frozen, let's stun him. And there you see he's taking for 1.5k every turn. Just be careful for blind to make sure you keep that on as much as you can, especially for the pet. And if you can find flash in an Arcanist, that's much better than Smoke Bomb. Let's put poison on. You can also try and bleed him with X slash. There we go. Okay. Blind. He's paralyzed. Now he's dotting up for 2k. Let's get a Sleep Dart on him. Looks like we're gonna walk away with this win, hopefully. One more turn, and he's gonna go down. Boom. Especially against Gilgameshes with high ward, it's going to be pretty difficult to penetrate through all of that ward. You know, yeah, we got some damage onto his HP pool at the start, so we made the most of that, but we almost actually paid for it, getting that hit from Fey Chimera. And then after that, it was dots all the way. Keep them blinded as much as possible. Try and find flash from an Arcanist, really good. Not much to say really. Get Greater Yokai. Alright, so we're going up against Heretic this time. We can see they've got Chimera out. We can't really get live updates from this screen unless you actually have that player on the global leaderboard or regional leaderboard, etc. There is some delay, especially in pet updates from this screen, but you know, we can only go with what we have here. So yeah, try and catch around with Chimera. It's a Heretic, so it doesn't have Steadfast, which is really nice for us. We're still going to go with Greater Yokai, and you know, there's always going to be a good chance that they're going to get ward up. In this moment, as I'm Swashbuckler, I've just gone straight out attack, and looks like we're going to be able to take them down fairly easily. Okay, we took them down fairly easily. Level 236 salted fish. So they, you know, in this scenario, they didn't really have much thought in their defensive build. Probably Heretic Magi. Again, Heretics, they don't have Steadfast, so you can really make use of the status affliction skills. You know, Stun Dart, Sleep Dart, Freeze if you have it, and go to work with Greater Yokai, dot them down, try and put them poisoned if you've got Miasma. Miasma is a really great skill. I haven't got it on this character yet. That's really important. If you can both blight and poison are dots, so you can use that to get them down if you don't have enough attack to get through their defense. With a Swash character, we can actually do some damage against Heretics, but yeah, that'll be it for this fight. Okay, we've got a Realmshifter with a Chimera here, and yeah, with the Realmshifters, we're really worried about them attacking, so we're trying to make the most of the fact that they do not have Steadfast, keep them status, keep them blinded, and we'll see how we go. It's a Stormforce Kingdom, so ideally we could have a piece of gear which has lightning element on it, just on the chance that they use their lightning faction skills. However, we're gonna go in here, see what happens. Stun Dart, Sleep Dart, Freeze are huge here, so try and use them early, see if they're immune to one or the other, and then concentrate on using the other one. So this guy, not immune to sleep, so we can actually try and keep them asleep as much as possible. And they've got the Berserk up from the Chimera, which is great. And because we are Swash, I'm Swash myself, Realmshifters, they have lower defense, they've got high attack, low defense, low resistance, so as long as you have a fairly decent weapon, you should be able to damage them. You see, I'm not doing too much damage. Now, the problem with Realmshifter is once you get them into low HP, they become absolute monsters. And they become more dodgier with Mystic Feather, all their stats get raised, so really it becomes really important to try and keep them stunned or asleep at the bare minimum. If they're stunned or asleep, you can't miss them, which is absolutely huge, so we should be able to finish this guy off here. Swordplay 2, how much damage are we doing? Okay, we're still doing roughly 4k, so there we go. Forstendra gets taken down. And you can see Folkvanger, yeah, really they outclass our kingdom quite significantly. At least in the top half, you know, our top 10 kind of got slaughtered. Dave doing decent stuff there. Yeah, Dave, a monster on defense. Yeah. How do you lose to an Arcanic as a Nyx? Okay, so I've got another Realmshifter here. Just realised that I can buy Miasma from this Arcanist, so make sure you buy Miasma as soon as you can. Really important skill for taking down characters that have the second chance, and you know, just applying Blight is super useful. So we'll put this on straight away in our PvP loadout, and I'm gonna put that instead of poison. Actually, Miasma causes poison and Blight, so there's not really much point in having Miasma and poison together. Okay, so these are pretty much my largest, well, we're taking Yokai again. Alright, so we equipped Yokai. The thing about this fight is this is a Realmshifter and they have Pale Dragon, so you know that's a hard counter to Greater Yokai. However, I still think Yokai is going to be our best bet. If you are Baphomet, you can obviously try and like super kill them, supercharged with Crimson Gazer. If you're Titan Guard or Heretic, again I think taking Greater Yokai is still a pretty decent bet against Realmshifters. A little bit unfortunate we didn't catch him with Chimera, but let's see how we get on. And it's Cataphract. With ward up straight away, you can immediately tell it's Cataphract. So I'm not going to try and like fight through his ward. Let's blind him first up. Well, we missed that. And he uses Sortie, that's quite common. And you know, if Realmshifter's Sortie, use Sortie turn 1, and then if they get a crit as well, it can put you in a world of pain. So, right, he's not immune to sleep or paralysis. So we've got Blight and Burning on him, that's super good. I'm gonna try and get some damage in on him. Okay, he's woken up. Let's try and sleep that again. And there's the Pale Dragon using the spell. I mean, Pale Dragon is not going to dispel everything every single turn, so you know, you do have to use that to your advantage as much as possible. And there you go, 1.8k dot. Okay, there's the dispel. Back to sleep. And now we are in Mystic Feather range, but we're a bit low in health. I'm going to use Autumn Strike. Okay, don't know exactly how much damage we did. If you know that they're not immune to a certain status affliction, you better off going with that the whole time. And okay, he's asleep and stunned. So he's not immune to stun either. And okay, gonna go for attack button. Alright, now we should be able to finish him off, yeah? Boom. Alright, so Pale Dragon, yeah, Pale Dragon is not exactly what you want to see, but we managed to get a win there. Alright, next war, 10 inches unbuffed. They get off to a really strong start. Frost Kingdom, and we've got a Heretic with Chimera out, so Heretics, yeah, do not try and kill them with elemental damage. Step 1, if you are Bahamut with Crimson Gazer, change that pet immediately. You might be better off just using Greater Yokai, to be honest, if you're Bahamut. Again, we're Nyx, and with them being a Frost Kingdom, I'm gonna put on my famed Yeti Overcoat actually. Well, you can put on, yeah, I mean you can choose famed. Try and put on some form of Yeti coat if you have it, just for that water resistance. Okay, I'm gonna go with Fey Yeti coat, which doesn't have freeze immunity, so that might be a risk. The rest, we've got 2 Fey Dragon pieces. Get our Greater Yokai doing some work, and just a level 10 normal mirror. And then we've got some, yeah, Swash gear. Try and do as much damage as possible. So, just double check. I know I've got Pumpkinhead there, but I do have the Greater Yokai equipped. So let's see what happens. Heretics are really susceptible to Greater Yokai because they don't have Steadfast. Okay, and here we go. Mobile Wonder, level 231. I'm gonna try and just get a hit off straight off the bat. Oh, okay, we get stunned. That's not ideal. Miss again. He's using freeze. Okay, so it looks like this guy is using the Saboteur. Saboteur Inclination. And you know, typically they're going to use things like Stun Dart and Sit Dart on you. And typically the AI will use those until you are actually status. So now the benefit here, this guy is used Snotra, which if you're not aware, you haven't come across the gates before. The gates give you 50% increase in one kind of stat, but it gives you 90% decrease in in both of the opposite stats. So he's used Snotra, which gives him 50% extra magic damage, but it drops his attack and defense by 90%. So I'm going to try and take advantage of that here, but we've already missed 2 Swordplay 2s. I'm going to see, I don't have freeze, unfortunately. Freeze would be great. Freeze, stun, sleep makes you can't miss. But boom, you get a massive hit there, and he's switched to Kara. Right, okay, if you have 2 gates equipped, they can switch between them, so... I'm not worried now because he's used Kara, so, like, damage that he's doing is not going to damage me at all. That's gonna... that's literally going to destroy his magic stat. So let's try Blight Miasma. I picked up Miasma last time, which is fantastic. So, not immune to Blight or Poison, I think. Here we go. So he's not wearing a Blind Pendant. Chimera, his Chimera still hasn't got Berserk buff up. I'm gonna go in with Flash. Wow, really dodgy. I feel like Heretics have some kind of inherent dodginess, which is really random. Blight doing a lot of work there. Miasma, really solid skill. To be honest, we've got lucky without getting blighted and stuff. Okay, he switched back to Snotra now, but now he's within range, so the dot's going to take him down, finish him off next turn. And the Chimera didn't even cast Berserk once there, so... Okay, pretty decent fight. Look out for those gates, try and take advantage of them if you can. Clear yourself up on them. If Heretics tend to have quite high resistance, they're quite an anti-mage class, so that's why, example, if you're a Bahamut Tamer, Crimson Gazer is definitely not the pet you want. If you're Omnimancer, again, I would say try and make use, see if you can damage them with the high penetrating skill, maybe the Omnimancer skills, maybe the Transference 2 is a good shout, but take Greater Yokai and try and keep them status. If you're Atlas Vanguard or Nyx, yeah, if you see them use Snotra, try and get some damage on, otherwise, let Greater Yokai go to work, keep them stunned, keep them asleep, use Flash, keep them blinded, and try and get your dots doing damage. Alright, we're back in business now. Sage or Swash doing damage. They've also taken him down. Okay. This looks like it's going to be a fairly close fight, actually. Yeah. I'm trying, especially against Frost Kingdoms, try and get your attack in before they use Hex of Frost, because that's fucking annoying. Alright, so we've got 10 inches unbuffed again. Different opponent this time, it's a Gilgamesh, and don't be confused by the sprites either. It's got a Realmshifter sprite, and I've been watching this guy a few times today. He's not changed from Gilgamesh. If you can't spot your opponent on any kind of leaderboard, either that's the regional or the global leaderboard, you can't tell what their actual live build might be if they like to switch classes, but 100% sure this guy is Gilgamesh with Chimera Pet, which is exactly what we want. So what I'm going to do, we've got the Greater Yokai out. I've got one Fade Dragon Boots with the Aldens as well, so that will stop us getting stunned. Fade Dragon gives us the Dragon Resistance against Chimera. Because it's Gilgamesh, I'm expecting quite a long fight, so I'm going to go for Mirror rather than the Whisper we have. Oh, got a famed Mirror from someone. Okay. And just like to double check, Nyx Swashbuckler with Greater Yokai, and check my skill load out quickly. Miasma, X/. Ideally, you want to get Rot and Burn. But that's all we've got right now. All right, let's see what we can do. It looks like we're going to lose this war, but that's not fully. Alright, so because it's Gilgamesh, first up, because I'm Swash, I've got a decent high attack, so I'm actually going to try and damage him straight away. The thing with Gilgamesh is at the start of the fight, their ward absorption is only 50%, so if we can do a decent bit of damage early on, just get their health down below 20k, and Yokai does a great job. He's frozen, which means he's probably not got Ring and Wind, so that's really nice. We also got the damage buff from Chimera. We also got temp attack up, so I'm just going to go in straight away again here. We've got the temp defense down as well, and he's going into Divine Bastion, so that's 100% ward absorption. So again, I'm going to hit him again before that 100% ward absorption goes in. Divine Bastion also regenerates a lot of ward, and boom, the frozen hits him. We missed his turn, and we're in a really good position to try and finish him off here, actually. just be careful you don't run out of mana. See, the mirror is really helping us out here. We've got burn on him as well, so now regardless if he goes into second cast or not, he's going to drop to the dots immediately, and that's a fairly easy fight. So regardless of how much ward that guy had, we never actually got his ward down to 0, so he could have had 100k ward, and you know, as long as that the same things happen, the same skills happen, the debuffs, the statuses, the frozen, the dots that we got on him, we would have had the exact same result, because ward absorption, he never got his ward absorption above 50%. So really, Gilgamesh's they can be the scariest, but try and attack them early if you can. Mages, you should be able to do decent damage early on using things like Transference 2 or the Omnimancy spells, or Summon Dead 2 as well. Pretty decent options there. Alright, this fight we've got Beowulf Tamer with, I believe, Fjalar Pet. So Beowulf has actually recently been buffed, so it actually has a lot more health than it used to be. It used to only be around 14k health, but now we have a little bit more health to contend with. Fjalar is probably the worst pet that we can face as a Swashbuckler, so our main goal is going to be keeping him blinded and hope that Greater Yokai can take him down. So I've got the mirror there, so we can cast a lot more skills. Alden Tap for stun, and then a little bit of damage, so let's have a look. So we can probably take one hit or two. Oh yeah, blocking is something you have to worry about as well, but we can probably take 1 or 2 hits from the Fjalar. Now the thing with Beowulf, as you get it below half health, the pet is going to have more power. So before I attack it again, I'm going to cast Flash, get him blinded. Alright, it seems to be immune to blind actually, so that's awkward, so we're just going to have to try and kill him off in one go. We got lucky there, we got the stun. So yeah, so probably you want to try and get them just to around half health and then try and blast them down as fast as possible. As we said, Swashbuckler going up against the Fjalar is literally the worst pet that we can see. Big multi-hits against our 0 defense. If you are any other class, any other build, you're going to be able to take a little bit more damage. But blind, try and keep them blinded, because the blind does affect the pet. Okay, so we've got another fight against Saint's Way, one of the top Stormforce kingdoms, and we've got a Realmshifter with Ashen Phoenix. So this is probably going to be a very difficult fight. What I'm doing is taking the mirror for as much mana as possible, and I'm actually losing 1 curse ring for a Dragoon's Charm. Dragoon's Charms, we get more action rate and pet power from the charm itself, but we really want the action rate for Greater Yokai. I really think we might be able to get a couple of hits in early on, but when the Ashen Phoenix uses Deific Channel, it's going to be really hard to damage the Realmshifter, so I'm going to go Omni Strike early. If he doesn't get defenses up, we'll do a little bit of damage in. Okay, he's frozen, and I don't have my Miasma skill equipped. That's really absolutely awful play. I'm going to use X Slash in that case. We fought bleeding, which is good, so we've got a couple of dots on him. Well, I can't believe I don't have my... Really what I want to do here is use the Flash to keep him blinded, because Realmshifters, once they are below 50% health, then their base stats start to go up very significantly. So he's not immune to sleep, so sleep's probably going to be our big one there. And you can see X Slash doing much less health, much less damage now that he is in Resurgence range, but we're keeping him down pretty well. We take a hit from the Phoenix, we've got him bleeding, asleep and frozen. I'm not sure that X Slash is actually going to damage him anymore, so I'll just go Omni Strike to try and do damage. Okay, we got him in the end, so luckily with a little bit of help from Swashbuckler, our base attack was high enough to damage him down there, and you know, he didn't even use Golden's Fortitude or Barrier during that fight, mainly thanks to Greater Yokai. More than likely Realm Charmer there, and even Charmers, you know, even tier 10 Realmshifter Charmers, once they get Golden's Fortitude Barrier up, it's going to be pretty hard to damage them. So really you want to use that strategy, Flash, if you have any kind of dot scales miasma as well. Those are the things you want to use. So there we go, folks, 10 war fights against tier 10 enemies as a tier 9 class. I hope you found those useful. Maybe you can get some kind of strategies for yourself. Remember, Greater Yokai really punches above his weight as a tier 6 pet. Let me know if you've got any further questions in the comments below, or if you want to see any other classes in the future. I will try and unlock some other classes at tier 9. It will take a little bit of time. But you know, this character is a tier 9 alt. I'm not going to take it into tier 10. So let me know if you've got any further questions. We'll be streaming Mondays and Thursdays from 8 PM GMT time. So come in and ask questions in there. There's a lot of helpful people around. Also on the Orna Legends Discord as well. Even on the main Orna Discord, of course, as well. There's loads of people there to help answer any questions you may have. Anyway, I'm Shabash. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a wee like, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.